We're live. All right. Hello, everybody who's stopped by. So today we have, I'm going to still talk more about Saving the World and Saving the World #3's campaign. And then there's a few other issues that I'll get to. Let me change this over here. Here we go. Don't need those no more. All right, we got Ep02 here. How you doing, man? Let's see. I'm gonna wait as more people pile in, and just talk about. Oh, I know. I talked about something stupid for a second while everybody's coming in. It won't matter that much. There was. Oh, it was on Twitter today. And I forget the person's name, but kind of a normal Twitter troublemaker. And that stirred up the argument about armor and fantasy situations, stories and stuff like that. It was Star Wars, specifically The Mandalorian. And it was interesting because it wasn't necessarily that old debate, because, you know, all debates can be fun and you can talk about them. But it was that clearly at this point, Twitter has become its own, social media in general, has become something of a designed to make arguments. And so it's not, I'm learning to stay out of it. Oh, we got the Terra Eon. How you doing? Let's see. We got 3 in the chat. I'm going to talk a little bit about the current comics that we have out, and then 3 once I'll start talking about 3. I'm just waiting for more people to get here. So for anybody new, in February is when we launched. This one's super shiny. Saving the World #1. And it did pretty good. I honestly did not know if it would do very good at all. I had no idea. And it did pretty decent, and then we just kind of moved on, and it kept working out. And there was a lot of learning as we go, which we're still doing. And I think, you know, anybody who's creating, that's probably the best lesson, because I actually hear it a lot where people ask where to begin. You know, how do I start? What do I do to get really started? And there's really tutorials can take you forever. And so because you're approaching each individual skill that you need, and you can make progress like that. And it's not that you shouldn't do that, except for it might take you longer. And really the fastest and best way is to just make comics. Jump in. And don't be too concerned about what people think of your early tries. And that, I mean, I am very much in that boat. Issue #1 taught me tons about just basic putting together comic, drawing it, writing it, everything like that, how people react to it. And then as I moved on to issue 2, Lily and Lepawet, and those types of things, each one taught me even more and more. And you can see in even, I forgot my glasses, very successful black and white underground comics, especially. Their first issue is this kind of rough try, and then as their series progresses, they get considerably better. And that's, you know, I feel that's something to keep in mind. Certainly look at the things that inspire you, and make sure you're not being harder on yourself than you are on them. You know, they succeeded, they did it, so evidently it's okay. So that's what I got on that. So, okay, we're 5 minutes in. I guess I'll get into the meat and potatoes of it all. So Saving the World #3 is currently in its final week of funding on Indiegogo and on Kickstarter. Indiegogo ends a little sooner, so I think there's only 4 or 5 days left on that one. It started 2 days earlier than Kickstarter, and we're funded on there. I think we're getting close to $700 in Indiegogo, and then Kickstarter, it's past 2,000. Saving the World #3 is past 2,000 on there, so we're doing very good on Kickstarter, which is usually our ratio. And so I'm very happy with that. And so now we're just kind of doing a media blitz for the final week. And so with that being said, I got out some of the issues we've done, Saving the World #1, 2, Universe, and Lily and Wepwet. I'll just kind of talk briefly about Universe. So this shipped with, and this is signed by me and Sizzle. This launched with Saving the World #1. It was a stretch goal, and it introduced Lily and Wepwet, Gypsy, and Stratus. It is now out of print, so there is a early bird special, and that's signed by me and Sizzle, and that'll be the last of this. And I'm just retiring it because everything in it will be replaced with a more full. This ended up being more of a preview. I was going to continue Saving the Universe as a series, and then just kind of decided to go to a different direction. And we got Doug in the chat. How you doing, Doug? And so with Saving the Universe, with the Lily and Wepwet section was reprinted in the Lily and Wepwet solo. And I'll probably do that with Gypsy and Stratus, to where I reintroduced them in their own little solo thing. So this is your last chance to get Saving the Universe #1. And it actually went through 2 prints. They weren't a long print run, mind you, but we sold out of them, so that's cool. And then Saving the World #1. Now, I believe I'm already out of the first print run of Saving the World #1, the shiny cover. And that one's being retired, kind of. So you can go buy the new one on the Saving the World #3 campaign, and it has new art. And I didn't change any of the writing. Everything is pretty much the same comic. There's just several pages I redrew, and every page has something that I redrew, redid, fixed up, just to make it more on par with the issues after. Because it was me just learning how to do it. So I thought, well, on my second print run, I'll fix it up how I want, so I can be proud of it and be happy and it not bug me. So I did that. And so these with the shiny cover is sold out. And there's the only difference to the cover is Kira's suit on this is all white, which a lot of the cover artists do an all white costume. But in the interior, she has a black mask and black cape. We did that to the cover, so it matches the interiors moving forward. And Saving the World #2, you can still get the original Sashi cover. I still have quite a few of those, enough to cover this whole campaign. So I'm still selling the original crowdfunded edition, which I haven't counted. I think we still have quite a few, but once we sell out the second print, we'll have a cover that looks like this, the same style Kira do with the flexing around, but it's by Monk. So the new cover on the second print will be by illustrator Monk. Look very much similar, but it'll be his style instead. We got a question from Tara Eon. If you could put saving the world into a genre, what would you describe it as? I mean, it's close to sci-fi. And it probably, I don't know if this is a genre, but even though it has kind of the fantastical overtones of superheroes, it is really a lot of a slice of life type deal. So character-driven slice of life, I'd assume. And, the broad strokes of it would be like a superhero sci-fi. But, well, a lot of comedy. And so I don't know if that helps answer the question, but yeah, so, I think it really, the comedy slice of life type stuff is a lot of it. And a lot of that murkiness of what the genre is kind of deliberate. I like comics like that. I like comics that aren't so, kind of like Ninja Turtles, it's sci-fi, but not exactly. It's not just straight up sci-fi. There's a lot of character. I think in sci-fi, it's a lot more story-driven often. And so sci-fi that is character-driven feels really a lot different. So it's hard to just call it sci-fi. Because even something like Star Trek and Star Wars is about the major arc more than a specific character. So that's my very muddy, diluted answer to that. And, okay. And Lily and Wepawet. This was I was curious what a perfect bound would come out as, and I was extraordinarily happy with how it came out. It really felt like the first like legitimate comic book I did, It just has a perfect bound, just has like a weight to it where it not just stapled paper together, And so I really, really enjoyed it. And readers seemed to take to it pretty good. I didn't get a lot of reviews of Lily and Wepawet. I don't know if I got one or two, but I didn't get as many as the others. But the feedback was positive, but I didn't really get the breakdown of, page by page of what people thought about it. And so I'm hoping there'll still be some reviews because I like watching them and seeing what people think. It really helps me pinpoint things of importance, and know what to ignore. There's a lot of things that bothers me, and then come to find out it shouldn't have bothered me at all because nobody else noticed. And also sometimes there's tons of Easter eggs of what the future of future stories, and so I like to know if people caught them or even vaguely noticed. A lot of times that's a case where someone mentions it, like they noticed it, but they didn't know what it meant, and I was like, you have no idea what's going on. And so that's kind of cool, knowing that people are noticing, they just don't quite catch it. So then once it does happen, they'll go, aha, I remember from issue number whatever that happened, and that's what this is all about. And so so that's pretty cool. Okay, so back to Saving the World number 3. So I'm in my last week, so I do my I'm going to do my little rush to wrap it all up. And I've learned more I've learned more in this campaign than maybe any other, because I think my first 3 campaigns was all about learning how to draw a comic book. And so now it's the business side, which is, it's kind of harder in a way. It's not quite as instinctive. You can't just rely on art instinct or whatever. You got to really learn how the ropes are. And so that's what I've been doing with 3. And it's been really working. I in my past campaigns, I did um, think about things in a business, like in a business manner. But I set up little kind of like experiments where I change this about the next campaign. So, and I'll see how that would affect the outcome. And there was none, and nothing like. It didn't really give me any real vision of how that worked. But this one has been, there's been a great response to specific actions, and so I've had a lot more understanding of how to build larger campaigns and stuff like that. So I'm pretty hopeful. And with number 3, now I'll actually, this is something tied to in Lillian Wepawet. If you guys got that one, introduced. Here it goes. Jim Lawson as artist drawing Saving the World. And he did a little 3-page short called On-Call Heroes. And I just contacted him online, and, he agreed to do it. And so now he's come back. I had, in August or so, I had health issues and all that type stuff. And he agreed to do the 18 pages of this issue number 3. And so I'm very excited of that. And, hiring an artist increases your cost dramatically. And so that's, that's a thing. But currently I'm not too concerned about profit and all that, because I'm just trying to build up my comic, build up readers. I'm not really worried about that bottom end. Let's see. Doug says, I think the business side is a lot harder than people let on. Definitely. And I mean, there's a lot of, this reminds me of back in the 90s, Sub Pop, who was the original record label for Nirvana and all the Seattle grunge bands. They said the trick is, when you're small, pretending you're big, and when you're big, you're pretending you're small. And, there's there's a lot of that in, crowdfunding. People are trying to make that balance. And for me, I'm trying to pretend like I'm at least medium size. I'm very not, I'm very small operation. But, there's a lot of big corporations and stuff in crowdfunding, and half of them we know and the other half we don't see, funding people and stuff. And the guys doing it by themselves, it's an immense amount of work. Now, I think there's a base level that just someone that puts out comic can get this, little bit, but to really break through, have like a breakout hit that kind of fuels a longer series, it takes an incredible amount of work. You have to really be on top of your promotion and knowing what works and what doesn't. And that's been I did a lot of promotion for Lillian Wepawet, and it seemed to have worked, but I also spent more money promoting, and I need to stop hitting my desk, and making certain any of that money goes. Because, I did, there's Twitter ads you can do and Kickstarter ads, but I have not seen any meaningful benefit of that. I did Twitter, certainly not. Theirs was terrible. They just burn through your money and you get nothing. Facebook, it gets you a lot of traction, but with people seeing your ad. So you'll say, wow, I got 5,000 people to see my ad. But during that entire time, you had zero, you saw no additional sales. And so you spent the money. And really, in the end, I see that a person just promoting through traditionally with posts on Twitter and Kickstarter and utilizing the bases they get and keep expanding that is really where it's at. That's almost where all the sales I got come from, is just keeping up with it myself. But there is the you get 5 readers, you got to keep 5 readers. And so keeping your readers from issue to issue is almost like your primary goal. And then on the side, you're trying to build up slowly. And that's at least all I've learned so far. You see these campaigns making $50,000, and there's something they know that I currently do not. But so I had a little list of things. I guess I was going to talk about STW number 3, and I pretty much did with Jim Lawson. And let's see here. Oh, yeah. So we're kind of looking at what our plans are next after number 3 wraps up. Currently, of course, number 4 is on the it's on the horizon. So I'm kind of looking at possible January or February for that, because I didn't want to jump straight back into number 4 as quickly as I did the others, because it's a little bit more expansive. It's the same 32-page comic, but a lot is hinging on it narrative-wise. And so I wanted to give myself just a hint more time to wrap this up. And we've talked about not really a spinoff, but just a completely different little comic in between might take place in December. So that might be it. So we might not do number 4, but we might do a different comic to fill in the gap. But I'm not certain if that's going to happen or not. So we might have something just for fun that won't be a big, it won't be a big push necessarily. It'll just be to fill the gap so I'm not bored. And all the while working on 4, so it'll be ready. And so that's really our plans. Now I have tons of Saving the World is really always like that's planned throughout next year, and for the as long as people buy it, it'll keep going. And I have some side projects. I don't know which ones, how many I'll actually get to. So we'll kind of I'm kind of seeing that out. I always have some big plan for another comic series I'm going to launch at the same time or something like that. And they kind of interchange. So it depends which one I want to do the second I'm able to do something else. Because I had the Depression that I'd like to do, and there was a comic I was working on. I wrote the scripts. I wrote 1 or 2 scripts for it. It was Crush, and I really wanted to do it. It's kind of a hyper violent, over the top, crazy comic. But I don't know if that will be, whether it be that, the Depression. And then I had a story that it's like a very traditional space sci-fi comic that see you, Doug. Oh yeah, and that is true. Me and Doug need to do some crossover business, and there's a lot. Next year, I hope to do some more crossovers with fellow comic artists and writers, and possibly just working on comics in general with different people. And so, that really comes to building up everything and doing the business. Okay, so, I mean, boy, I'm in 24 minutes and I've burned through most of everything I was going to talk about. If anybody has questions, ask me. That'll get it to drag out to 30 minutes. So, I will talk about Saving the World number 3. We're on, hey, how you doing? The stretch goals, we're on When the Movie Deal Comes, Who Voices Wepawet. I want to voice Wepawet, and it's good. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't even read that. So Tony Sizzle says, when the movie deal comes, who voices Wepawet? I'm gonna do it, but with a bunch of computer stuff. Like, originally I had thought about what his voice sounds like, and it's like seven different people with different voices. all speaking at the same time, like a chorus type deal. That was the idea. Now, originally, it's because when I in sixth grade, um, he predated that. I created him before that, but in seventh grade is when he kind of started to change, and he had the soul of 7 people, so they all talked at the same time through him, and that kind of just stuck with me, even though the story's completely different now. But yeah, exactly, a bunch of voices all at once. It's kind of a creepy thing, and on our Saving the World #3, we're doing paper dolls. Now, the paper dolls might sound crazy, but me and Honey came up with the idea of doing paper dolls. And because we were always printing a bunch of these stickers and stuff, and I question how many people want more stickers. Because I know I get more stickers, and I'm like, I don't need more stickers. But you'd be amazed. Stickers are shockingly expensive, so I don't mind making and handing out stickers, and I always include stickers just randomly, but you don't want to spend a bunch of money on something nobody wants. And I'd heard people talking about this, how, what's the point in the extras if everybody's going to throw them away? I feel like you do need extras. People are expecting it. Crowdfunded comics, mainly just because shipping, they're paying so much more than if they just went to a comic book store and picked it up off the deal. So you got to give them more than we drive it to your house. Anyways, so Honey had the idea of paper dolls. And at first I was like, well, I mean, that could work. But then when I did the original drawing for Kira's paper doll, and we printed it out, and she cut it out and stuff, and was seeing how it would function and work, and I was like, no, this is freaking really cool. I don't even know why. So it's hard to explain why the paper doll is cool, but it is. And so we kind of went just full tilt with that, and people seem to like it. And I hope to do. I kind of felt like all my stretch goals in the past, maybe except for the whole freaking comic, but I can't do that again. The stretch goals were kind of even more through. They just weren't very interesting. I did like some mini posters or something. Well, okay, Lillian Webber had a cool one with the signed Jim Lawson, but I was kind of thinking I wanted to keep this thing of very unique stretch goals that kind of meant something instead of just, wooden nickel and all these kind of junk things. Kind of like you go to a trade show and they give you a bunch of keychains. It's like, how many keychains do you really need? And so that was where the paper dolls come from. And we really went full tilt with those. And okay. I'm going to wrap this up with any questions anybody should have. Ask me literally anything. Does anybody in the chat have any questions at all? And I will answer them, even really creepy, weird ones. So while I wait for questions, let's see here. I'm going to read a comic. No, I'm not really. Eventually, I need to have Illustrator Monk did a, here we go, interior on Saving the World #2. And I would love to have him do an entire story. He's a busy man, though. But, and he's doing all the covers for the foreseeable future. Because, yeah, 2 will eventually have him, so he'll pretty much do the covers on all of them. Do you have the Most Wanted figure to add to that collection in the background? Most Wanted figure. Which one's the Most Wanted figure? I don't follow. And which collection? I have a lot of things. We have the Tim Burton stuff. We got the Fallout stuff. I got, oh, here I should point. We got some Batman and Superman, some more Batman, my comic books, Aliens, Prometheus, more Batman and Wonder Woman, and finally more Batman. A lot of Batman. And it's funny because I talk crap on mainstream comics all the time, and then I have a whole thing full of their action figures, like I'm a super fan. Oh, yeah. Yes, tons of them. So I obviously collect quite a few of these little figures and statues. So what I see? There is a Batgirl statue that is from Sideshow Collectibles. And it kind of looks like hyper real, like almost what she'd look like in a movie maybe or something like that. But they're those high-end statues, and they are incredibly expensive. I think it's like $500, but there's tons of those. Those are the things I look at that I'll never buy because I'll just feel ashamed. But and then Hot Toys, those things, I always love the hell out of those. But it's one of those deals when a figure is $200, it seems insane. So I always have a long list, but it's things I'm just probably never going to buy. All right. So, we got a question. Which one of your characters from Saving the World is your favorite? Well, I love them all like children. So, I suppose it's very mood. Kira probably would just win because she fits lots of different moods, and she's very, very fun to write stories about. Whereas on a bad day, well, on an existential crisis day, Wepawet, because he kind of harnesses that broken reality feeling, and they're so much more flexible to where I can express more feeling through story because he's not grounded to a reality, so I can bend and twist. Also, he's easy to draw because he's mainly black shadows, but when it comes to storytelling, he's very fun because I can do more, what is that called? Allegory with him because I can, and complex to where it's hidden. It's not just in your face. And Lily's probably the most surprising to be my favorite. When I did the short, I didn't really expect it's just a lady that's with Wepawet. I never really thought about it, but she formed while I was writing and drawing the comic. And so by the time I was done with the two shorts, I really loved her character. It was an interesting person that kind of formed on its own. And then by the time I did the solo story, I really, really enjoyed who she was. She was surprisingly different from Kira and Nora. My worry is always that my voice is too saturated in all my characters, so they all start to sound the same. But at least from my point of view, Nora, Kira, and Lily have been, their distinct personalities. Maybe Lily is the more balanced character, and Kira is more this. Kira and Nora both have these kind of divergent personalities, which is why they get along so well. And so, anyways, the answer to that question, I think, would be probably Kira. She's fun on kind of multiple levels. Easy to write because I think because her personality is so close to mine, probably. And so that just makes her easier to write. I kind of have to stop and think for a hot minute when I'm writing a character like Nora a little bit, because I don't want to just fall into she's Kira with short hair. But with Kira, it's really what she says is pretty much what I think all the time. So that's my answer to that. Okay. Let's see. We're at 35 minutes. That's not a bad stream. We did pretty good. So I think, unless I have any more questions, I will probably wrap this up, and I'll probably do a stream on the final day. I should have looked at that and see when that would be. But I'll put it out there and kind of have a going out stream for the last, until it wraps, a final push. But I'm going to do these every Sunday at 1 and just kind of build up people watching and come up with cool things to do and whatnot. I'm kind of learning what the hell I'm doing. And okay, I'm going to wrap this thing up. I want to thank everybody who stopped by and gave a thumbs up. Anybody who hasn't subscribed yet, you can click on the subscribe button so that you'll be notified next time I do something. And I suppose that's it. Remember to share the Saving the World #3 campaign if you want to and have time to do so on your social medias. And we'll do that last push for the last week, and hopefully become rich and famous. Well, I want to thank you all for stopping by, and I will see you all later.